Boshqalar o'chirib qo'ysan mikrofonini gapirayotganda boshqadan.
Okay. Hi there, how are you? Today we are going to introduce our recipe application, which help us more international students. Okay, before going further, let me introduce why we decided to organize this application and then how we solve this problem. Okay, the first thing we did is we identified major issue. Then we researched how to solve this problem, and we organized our application prototype, not completed version but prototype. Then we find existing solution and we add additional features to our application, which made our application unique. The unique features, our member Abdurrahman talks about it. Okay, the major issue, what is? We know that today more students go to foreign countries to study university or college or just travel, and most of them they do not have much time to cook meals, and they don't know how to cook. In real world, for example, when I entered INHA University as a first year student, I didn't know how to cook. I faced more complicated situations and I spent much time to learn how to cook. And I can say that it is important for students to cook meals in a smaller time. That's why we organized our application. Let's continue our next member.
Thank you, Jabala. So after identifying issue, we decided to make a research about knowing our students more about their problems by asking us specific questions. So the first question was, what's their main problems with cooking? So they said that doing everything at the right time with the right amount of ingredients, and also trying to find a good recipe for their certain meals, which is easy to understand and has a good instructions. So the next questions was, do the cooking takes up much of their time? Yes, more than half percent they said that it takes much of their time because they spent much time for finding a good recipe with a good explanation, instructions. So they spent lots of time for that. And the next question was, do they find sometimes that they want to prepare food but they have a limited ingredients, so they want to cook a food but they don't have more ingredients? So we decided to help them by creating menus, more options for them to choose, and that fits their ingredients. So let's switch to the causes and effects. Their main problems was we found that their main problem was the lack of time and also the cooking skills. They were limited by their cooking skills, and they end up spending much of their money on the street food, fast foods, and unhealthy foods. And without having any cooking skills, they end up with the frustrations, unsatisfaction of what they are eating, and also eventually they end up with the health issues and food poisoning and the other harmful stuff. So let's switch to our next member, Dubari, to talk about the limitations of our current application.
Hello. Thanks, Sanjarbek. After the identification of the main problem and finding in the causes and effects by our student by from our students, we take some applications and websites as a quintessence for us to look through them, uh, getting the main business logic and making it more comfortable and specifically designed for students. After, while looking through the application, we find many problems which contain into types, which is the problems with design and the problems with the logic, the sequence of the pages that the user gets into. The first problem with the design was the user interface, which is too complicated, and for us students, it has very excessive features and elements which really bothers them to pay the main attention to find a recipe to make a good meal. And the next problem was with the logic, uh, and we took a famous Chinese ads in the App Store as an example. Here you can see that um, the main page includes the cooking stories and, and advertisements rather than the recipe recommendations, which is more important for the user. Um, and after identifying these problems, we can say pitfalls or inconveniences with these apps, we started to make our prototype. And Abdurrahman will explain about it.
Thank you, Abdul Bori. And let's continue with our application. At the bottom, you can see these four buttons. By here, our home page, account page, saved recipes, and of course, settings page. Let's talk about the major part of our application, which is home page, of course, where you can see all recipes we have. If you tap on one of them, you can get inside and you can see these three parts. Okay, first part about uh, cooking time, calories, and the photo of that meal, and brief description and ingredients, of course, which is not available for other recipes of. And the last part is steps to how to cook this meal. Okay, let's and at the left side you can see these four buttons where you can choose the types of uh, milks you are looking for and it's the same for others too. And the most important feature of our application is search by ingredients, of course. For example, actually it's looking like common search page, but let's test it out. For example, let's write chicken, and as you can see, this search function give us two recipes, which is made by chicken, car age, and the next one is this recipe. Okay, let's go on to the our summary.
Hi everyone, thanks for that, Abdurrahman. So it's a summary. To begin with, nowadays there's a big demand for cookbooks, especially for youngsters who have just started to learn how to cook. As a student, I and my friends faced many problems with cooking when we started to live outside our family when we were freshmen. So that's why we decided to make a recipe app that can help you to make cooking much easier. A recipe app is a digital aid in the kitchen that makes cooking easier, faster, and more convenient. The recipes app gives users recipe advice and allows them to discuss with other users and even share their culinary expertise with other users. So creating a recipe book app is better than cookbook because it makes everything one can do with a cookbook easier. It's not for only newbies, but also for everyone interested in cooking and trying some foreign cuisines. So statistics show that in the UK and United States, in France, and also in many countries, about 23 million people in total searched for recipe app, which shows that everyone is interested in this kind of application. So in cooking, so why we chose to build mobile application? Well, comfort is the main reason. It's far more comfortable to open a recipe app on mobile than opening a browser, typing the website URL, and going and doing something and repeating this process over again and again. So that's why we chose mobile app. Apps can also provide more structured information and offer personalization to users. Besides, many cooking apps work offline, so the user doesn't need an internet to work with this application. And this is another advantage rather than building a website. So these are the reasons why we chose a mobile application. So this is our project. Thanks for your attention. Hopefully, it will be helpful for all the students who likes cooking. Thanks.